Hi, I'm Jay, and this is my review of Ambassador's first ship, Ambience. We were invited on board Ambience for her renaming ceremony in Tilbury on the 19th of April 2022 by Ambassador. Because we only spent one night on board and we haven't actually sailed on her, this review will be based more on first impressions of the ship and Ambassador as a cruise line. So stick with us and we'll give you our undiluted opinion on Britain's newest cruise ship and Ambassador as a new cruise line. New in the sense it's a ship owned by a brand new British cruise company, but new the ship certainly is not. In fact, Ambience was born as the original Regal Princess, sailing for Princess Cruises from 1991 through to 2007, and then headed to P&O Australia to continue her life as Pacific Dawn until 2020. Throughout the COVID pandemic, her future became very uncertain. She was intended to sail for Cruise and Maritime Voyages as Amy Johnson. However, regrettably, they went into liquidation as a result of the pause in cruise operations, and she never made it to CMV. This ship came so close to being scrapped, but thankfully Ambassador came to the rescue, and she now continues her life as Ambience. So does Ambience feel like a ship that's more than 30 years old? Well, it depends where you are on board. We found that many parts of her gorgeous interior, such as the Buckingham restaurant, the Borough Market buffet and the Observatory Lounge, feel very new in terms of their condition, and in fact they stand out a little bit amongst much newer and larger ships of today. We loved the attention to detail on board Ambience. Tables are laid, you have flowers and plants on your tables, albeit some are plastic, and there are many different ornaments and pieces of decoration to lift the design of the particular venue you're in. Some people will see them as dust collectors, but in our opinion they really give this ship character and a homely style which we haven't encountered on a ship quite like this before. A majority of the ship's interior is in really good condition, but there are a few areas which let her down, and some areas do divide opinion. The lifts on Ambience are certainly very different. We thought that they seemed cheap and tacky, and didn't match the class and elegance of the rest of the ship's interior. Let us know what you thought of them in the comments below. I wonder what coronavirus looks like under a microscope. A little bit like that, I suppose. I can't help but think that Ambassador should have replaced the carpet in the corridors and stairwells. The outside decks is where Ambience shows a bit of her age. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see Ambience in her full finished condition. There was considerable work going on outside, particularly with the aft terraces and hot tub area, and the fitness studio on the top deck looked a little sorry for itself. And in my opinion, Ambassador should not have taken passengers while work was ongoing. You pay to go on a cruise to experience all of the ship's facilities, and we know that those on the maiden sailing at least did not have the full ship facilities they were promised when they booked. I'm glad to say that Ambassador have been in touch with us since we were on board Ambience, and I'm pleased to say that there has been a significant amount of work done, and much of the facilities that were out of action when we were on board have sprung into life. Most of the work which has been undertaken on Ambience is outside, and in my opinion this ship was better when it was Pacific Dawn. Ambience has a very small pool, but once upon a time there used to be 2 hot tubs on the main pool deck as well, but they've filled them in. So now Ambience has only 2. 1 pool, 1 large bird bath and 2 hot tubs on a ship carrying 1,400 passengers isn't very much, and I certainly wouldn't recommend sailing on this ship to warmer climates if you're someone that likes to take a dip. I like the deck effect AstroTurf on the top decks. It's really unusual and it's nice to walk on. Certainly a lot less slippery when the decks are wet, so it's definitely a safer option, and I'm surprised that I haven't seen this on a cruise ship before. The cabins on board range from insides through to suites. They are clean and comfortable, feature plenty of storage and are well appointed, but the decor is a little dated. Carpet could have been done with being replaced when Ambassador took ownership, and maybe replace some of the pictures on the bulkheads which are very faded and have nothing to do with Ambassador. Just tweaking these two things would have required minimal work in the grand scheme of a ship refurbishment, and it really would improve these cabins and allow Ambassador to put their stamp on this ship. The bathrooms are very dated, but they were clean and spacious. The shower is pretty large and water flows at a decent pressure, but the hand soap is awful. Imagine the smell of apples and TCP and you're pretty much there. Insides through to balconies are unchanged from when the ship was Pacific Dawn, with the exception of some of the wood effect astroturf on the balcony. Suites seem to have been revitalised, featuring new storage, carpets and amenities compared to the lower grades of cabin. If Ambassador can continue with the fresh theme you get in the suites through to the other grades of cabin on board, they would get a big thumbs up from me. Dining is an area which really impressed us on Ambience. The main dining venue on board is the Buckingham restaurant. The restaurant is Art Deco themed and serves breakfast, lunch and dinner each day. We ate breakfast here on the morning of disembarkation and we both said that the Eggs Royale was superb. We would have paid for it, it was that good. We also ate in the Buckingham restaurant for the gala night. We both had the cheese souffle to start, followed by the pumpkin risotto and lobster tails. There were desserts available including baked Alaska, but we were full. As meals go in a ship's main dining room, we both said that the meal here was the best we've had in a ship's main dining room post-pandemic. Now that's praise. That trumps Princess, Morella, P&O, Cunard and Royal Caribbean. If Ambassador can keep this quality and standard up, we'd be very happy. Continuing with a positive theme, the food served in the Borough Market buffet was equally as good. For a small ship, we were surprised at the extent of variety here. You have individual counters serving different styles of food, such as fish and chips, Asian, and a section for vegans. The food was piping hot, and the food was of a good standard. Certainly better than the buffets on Morella, which is undoubtedly going to be one of Ambassador's main competitors. We also really liked the decor of this venue, really different and unusual, and it feels a bit classy. Tucked away in the Borough Market, you'll also find Saffron, the Indian-inspired speciality dining venue on board Ambience, which comes at an additional charge. At the other end of Ambience, you'll find Sea and Grass, which is the ship's answer to a steakhouse. This is another speciality dining venue serving meat and seafood dishes at an additional charge. This is another restaurant which really excels on interior design. We love it. When it comes to entertainment, the main venue is the Palladium Theatre, spanning 2 decks featuring comfortable seating and hosting a variety of different music acts, comedians and Ambassador's quality West End shows. We can only judge the entertainment that was put on for us at the renaming ceremony, but we thought that the vocals were outstanding, the dancing was incredible, and the dance company who performed were as good as the headliners theatre company whom perform on P&O and Cunard. We also recognised that one of the biggest areas of praise on Ambassador social forums and groups is that the entertainment in the Palladium Theatre is fantastic. In terms of other entertainment, music acts host many of the bars and lounges all over the ship, such as the Observatory Lounge and the Botanical Lounge. These bars also lay on quizzes, bingo and some guest speakers, as you would expect for a cruise ship with a target market of over 50. An issue which I see getting raised in the Ambassador Facebook groups is the concern over Ambassador's non-ATOL and ABTA protected status. Firstly, with regards to ATOL, Ambassador will be proudly operating as a no-fly cruise line. Therefore, ATOL protection is something they don't need to be part of, and customers don't need to worry about ATOL. However, with regards to ABTA, which protects consumers against rail, cruise and self-drive holidays, I can understand people's worries and concerns, especially with what happened to CMV. We got in touch with Ambassador about this matter, and we received the following response. Peace of mind is our priority here at Ambassador. We know how important it is to feel financially protected and to be able to book with confidence, which is why our booking reassurances include a refund guarantee should one of our cruises be cancelled. It is also why we have a fully independent managed trust account where guests' funds are deposited and only released when we set sail. With regards to ABTA, membership of ABTA, although not mandatory, is something that we feel is important for both our trade and consumer relations. Our membership application is underway. Hopefully, this clarification on both matters can put your mind at rest. Overall, I'd say that we have a very mixed bag of opinions when it comes to Ambience and Ambassador as a brand. There's areas which we really rate and provide Dan and I with genuine hope for a prosperous future for the company, and then there's issues which cause us real concern. In summary, the biggest issue with this ship is the fact that Ambassador have bought a ship which was about to be scrapped and they've done the bare minimum to it. And to most people, that isn't what they were expecting and it's not going to be acceptable. I'd say that a majority of passengers knew that the ship was an old lady at more than 30 years old, but they thought that she was going to be fully renovated inside out and that she was going to be given a new lease of life. And that is very far from the truth. I would have been against renovating and overhauling perfectly good interiors such as the centre court, the lounge areas, the borough market and certainly the Buckingham restaurant. There is nothing wrong with them, so don't touch them. However, the corridors and stairwells which feature the orange coronavirus carpet should have been replaced, as should the carpet in the cabins. Much of the carpet, particularly on the stairs and the walk-in areas in the cabins, are very downtrodden and show wear without the need of a magnifying glass. Knowing the age of the ship, I wasn't expecting cabins to look brand new. I expected the bathroom to be a bit dated, however I did expect new carpet, and I did expect Ambassador to replace pictures on the bulkhead, especially when they're faded. So would I sail on Ambience again? It's a yes, but with a caveat of finding a deal too good to miss. There were some really big positives on board. Entertainment of what I saw was pretty good, food served to us was amazing, speciality dining options are available and offer really great value for money, cabins are clean and comfortable despite the issues raised, and we loved the decor in the bars, restaurants and lounges. But let's face it, we have P&O Australia to thank for that. Despite the issues and the fact that we've come away from Ambience feeling that Ambassador has a lot of work to do, I recognise that there's potential for this new cruise line. There's a gap in the market for those that don't want the massive cruise ships operated by the big cruise lines. They want a more personal experience on a ship that feels like a ship and not like a floating city. There's plenty of disgruntled loyal P&O cruisers out there that don't like the direction P&O have been going in for the past decade, whereby they're replacing the smaller, older ships in their fleet with new superliners. If you're someone that falls into that category, Ambassador may be the cruise line for you to try. When we review a ship, we tell you how it is. We don't sugarcoat anything, but I would say that the positives on board Ambience did outweigh the negatives, and much of the negatives raised come down to time. It's a matter of time for Ambassador to listen to the feedback from passengers and iron out these issues. If they can do that and keep up with the amazing cuisine, great entertainment and not inflate their prices on board, I'd be at the front of the queue eager to book a cruise with them and support Ambassador in their growth as a trusted British cruise line. But at the moment, I feel like they've just got a little bit too much to deal with. Hopefully, in a few months' time, all of the issues discussed will have been overcome and a prosperous future awaits for Ambassador Cruise Line. Thanks for watching.